Today on the Morning Edition, an Anchorage hotel known for years of drug activity is shut down. What we're learning about the alleged crimes committed at the Chelsea Inn and what happens now. Plus,
we're still recovering from the death of a hero who died in the line of duty and another one who was severely injured.
The impacts of the Ketchikan landslide are still being felt. A look at the lasting impacts weighing on the community 1 year later.
And you have one more week of Alaska State Fair fun. A look at some of the big names and unique acts that are drawing in crowds from all over the state as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone, on this Tuesday. I had a chance to hit the fair last week.
Did you?
Got all my
Did you
little
see a
fixings
concert?
in my food. I didn't see a concert. Took my daughter, but we went and she did all the fun rides and got some fair food, my dipped ice cream.
So
and
good. I haven't
baked
made it to the
potato.
fair yet. Oh, you're making me hungry, though.
puffs.
Oh, those baked potatoes are so good.
Like
The
chicken
cream
bacon
puffs.
ranch, bacon cheese ranch.
You got a cream puff, right?
What's that?
You got
No,
the
my
cream
mom
puff.
and dad did. That's their favorite, but so
Well, I
good.
also went to the petting zoo because, well, you give me an animal and I'm going to sit there and pet it.
Yeah, they're cute.
Oh, we gotta love the animals.
That is one of my favorite parts of the fair. It is closed today and until tomorrow. Of course, we
right.
will see it later this week. But we are waking up this morning. Ongoing rain across the state. Those windy conditions. New this morning, we do have winter storm warnings that have been issued for areas north of the Brooks Range. We are seeing those temperatures in the 40s and 50s across a good portion of the state. However, locations along the slope waking up with temperatures near freezing this morning. We are sitting up under a mix of some clear to partly cloudy skies this morning across South Central. To be honest, I was not expecting sunshine yesterday, and we will see at least the first part of this morning with some of that sunshine before those clouds do thicken back up across the region. Notice widespread activity out towards the Ketchikan Delta, Bristol Bay, extending into parts of the interior. Now, the central and eastern interior will fare a lot drier today, but we're still going to see some rain showers steadily building in through the rest of this week on into the weekend. But there's that widespread heavy rain that we're seeing out towards areas of southwest Alaska. Those winds across the state for many areas still gusting upwards of about 30 to 40 miles per hour. We've got numerous weather alerts, anywhere from those wind advisories to flood watches from that excessive rainfall and runoff that could lead to some rising waters for many of those area river waterways for portions of western Alaska. But there's those winter storm warnings to the north. We've already seen many locations out towards southwest Alaska where we're already beginning to approach over half an inch of rainfall. Now, areas that are highlighted, we are seeing anywhere from a few hundredths of an inch to nearly 0.2 of an inch of rainfall, but very heavy activity continues to build in across the state. And there's those temperatures this morning. You can see ongoing rain showers. Still that summertime warmth out towards southeast. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast for you for across the state coming up.
In the last 2 months, I would say the clients that came in started really noticing what was going on across the street, like, wow, it's getting really bad over here.
Our top story this morning, the Chelsea Inn investigation where 2 arrests were made in connection with an FBI raid at the Spinard Hotel.
Neighbors can breathe a sigh of relief as many say the activity happening there was a danger to the community. Joe Allgood reports.
Windows now boarded up and security monitoring the site 24/7. The Chelsea Inn Hotel no longer has any vacancies, or any guests for that matter, as an investigation is ongoing into its suspicious past.
The drug operations at the Chelsea Inn led to a spike in crime, leading to numerous community safety concerns in the immediate area.
On Monday, authorities announced that a man and a woman were arrested in connection with the raid at the Chelsea Inn Hotel.
Kay Young Soo, an owner of the Chelsea Inn Hotel, and Chantel Fields, a manager, allegedly conspired together and with others to knowingly operate a drug-involved premises.
The pair allegedly charged a $20 entry fee and kept a record of rooms, street names, and amounts owed, according to the charging documents.
Due to the widespread drug trafficking and other criminal activities that went unabated by its owners and operators, we decided to take a high-impact approach,
including Friday's raid of the hotel and the suspects' residences, resulting in the seizure of 11 firearms, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, over a pound of drugs, and roughly $45,000 in cash.
This is just the beginning of the process. We anticipate that there will be additional arrests.
Over the last 5 years, Anchorage police have been called to the hotel a lot.
Everything from drug overdoses, drug arrests, 3 homicides, just general calls for service. I mean, well over 1,000 calls for service during that period of time at one location. And that's just that location, not in and around the surrounding areas.
But since the raid,
The air feels different here. I actually heard kids out playing Saturday, and that's the first time in probably a year I've heard kids outside.
neighbors say the difference is palpable.
You can tell a big difference in just everybody. Everybody feels relief.
Relief paired with some skepticism.
I think it's comforting for the neighborhood, but at the same time, I think it's going to happen either way. Like, if you drive down Minnesota, it looks like they kind of just, like, moved over there, unfortunately. So I think it's, like, a bigger problem than just, like, closing down the hotel, unfortunately.
These notices posted by the front door of the hotel give notice of seizure and even forfeiture. But, of course, this case is still ongoing, so only time will tell what happens to this property. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
An unidentified body was found washed up on a beach in Nome last week, according to the Alaska Department of Public Safety. The body was found near Front Street and Beam Road, just outside the city limits of Nome on Friday morning. The department says beachcombers found the body and alerted police and the Nome Volunteer Fire Department. DPS says the corpse was in the late stages of decomposition and wearing winter gear. The state medical examiner's office is working to determine the person's identity as the investigation continues.
It's been 1 year since the Ketchikan landslide took one man's life and severely injured another. Borough Mayor Rodney Dial says the town is getting back to full recovery as the scar in the landscape is still visible. That area, pretty much just gravel, is where James and Bill Montevier lived. As Michaela Clark tells us, the Monteviers were in the home when it was crushed.
7 seconds later, the house was devastated.
7 seconds.
Luckily, we survived it and our dogs survived it, but everything else is gone.
James Montevier looks back at the moment that changed everything.
We were just at that house for a garage sale last weekend.
We heard what sounded like a jet engine, like landing in our backyard.
James and his husband Bill in different rooms as their house was obliterated.
I heard him screaming, and it threw me up into the ceiling and dislocated my shoulder.
The landslide, ripping the life they had out from under them.
Just suddenly, everything was chaos, and then when it stopped, I couldn't hear Bill, I couldn't hear the dogs.
James saw a path to safety, a place where he could crawl out of what was now debris and no longer a home.
No matter how much I screamed, he still couldn't hear.
Within the couple of minutes, I heard Bill, and then I heard neighbors hollering to ask if we were okay.
I couldn't move.
First responders took an hour to get Bill to safety.
He was flipped upside down in the kitchen and dropped into the basement and buried.
That was the scariest part, was hearing the chainsaw and glass breaking and that kind of thing.
The couple stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Their 2 dogs still missing.
They found them exactly a week later.
I was like, there's 2, they're alive. I see them, they're blinking at me. And it was very exciting.
Where a couch makes an L, the ceiling was like this, and they were in between there, just huddled up beside each other and taking care of each other.
The last piece of their family now safe.
They're our kids, so we love them just like we would anything else.
These moments still on their mind a year later.
It was beyond traumatic. Bill still has flashbacks every now and then.
James asking, what if?
Had they bought the house, it could have ended up with loss of life.
What if the family with young kids, days away from closing on the home, would have been there instead?
It's painful to think what would have happened. We're glad it didn't. I'm not glad it happened to us, but I'm glad it didn't happen to them.
James and Bill are now living life in Puerto Rico.
We've landed on our feet. We bought a little house, not smaller than we had intended, but we bought a little house in Puerto Rico, and we're kind of making it day to day.
Michaela Clark, Alaska's news source.
James says they thought about landslide risk when buying a home in Puerto Rico and were limited in funds because they still hadn't gotten any insurance payout. He says in those 7 seconds, they lost $1.4 million.
Lawmakers are meeting to tackle the state's education funding crisis to begin outlining what they say could one day be solutions. The Education Funding Task Force, as it's known, met at the Legislative Information Office Monday. The committee has 16 months to create plans for how to fund education in Alaska. Lawmakers spoke on what they hope will come from their work.
I'm hoping we have a lot of the answers that people need. You know, which policies can we implement? Do we have a fiscal plan in place? If you want more money, how do we pay for it, right? We can't just keep doing what we're doing. And then obviously we want outcomes for our students. We want our scores to go up. We want, you know, to make sure that we're producing good students in school. So
one of the key takeaways from today's conversation is that we are ready to roll up our sleeves and to have difficult conversations. We are not going to be standing on sacred cows or not challenging assumptions or presumptions about our education system. We want all voices at the table. We want to hear from all perspectives.
The governor still has 3 education policy bills in this special session. Lawmakers told us those will likely be reintroduced when they return to Juneau come January.
August is National Black Business Month, and a new space in Fairbanks is trying to bring therapy to traditionally underserved populations. The Greater Works Caring Center, which has brought social services to the community since 2019, opened a location on Pega Road in May, trying to give people of color someone to talk to.
Owner Carolyn Cooper arguing that shared experience makes the connection easier, saying at her prior location, clients of color would ask for an African-American therapist.
The value of it is to have someone, when you have like racial trauma, that can sympathize with you. Not saying that someone that is not a person of color can't sympathize, but sometimes it's more comforting to have someone that looks like you or who have been through some of the things that you've been through to provide that therapeutic process and go down that journey with you.
To further reach those who have fallen through the cracks, Cooper says the company accepts Medicaid for its therapy sessions.
Still ahead, cleaning up Alaska's coastline.
We expected maybe 400 tons on the whole island, and I expect it's probably closer to 1,000 tons.
One of the country's biggest environmental cleanups is happening on Prince William Sound. We'll take you to the shoreline where the work continues.
Ongoing rain continues across the state. We've got some winter storm conditions expected for areas of the slope. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast. But first, sunrise, 6:37 in Anchorage, 5:44 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Good morning, everyone. Back on your Tuesday. We got a bear hanging out this morning.
Yeah, we haven't seen any bears in a few days. So there's one, Aaron. Wonder he's moving away from the water and the salmon. Maybe he already got his breakfast.
Yeah, heading back off to the den or wherever they're going. And it's just, you know, I got to get that extra slumber in before getting up before that sunrise. We are waking up to ongoing rain across the state. We've got some winter weather alerts that have been issued for areas north of the slope. We are expected to see the potential for some freezing rain as well as some light wintry mix. Of course, rain remains statewide for a vast majority of Alaska, with the exception of southeast, which continues to hold on to some summer weather, where we are seeing an ongoing warm weather pattern, which is keeping temperatures in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We do have a flood watch as you head across a good portion of the state. This continues through Thursday. Now, areas of the Seward Peninsula and then out towards Norton Sound, that flood watch continues through the remainder of today and then will expire. But you can see back-to-back storms is what we've been dealing with. 2 to 4 inches of rain has been falling across a good portion of the state with some locally heavier amounts. And this is leading to stream and river overflow, which is to be expected. In fact, just within the last 10 minutes, areas of the Dalton Highway did see a flood warning go into effect for that rain that has been gripping a large portion of the state. Winds have begun to subside for some areas. We're still seeing some gusty conditions as you head out towards parts of southwest Alaska. Those winds, though, are gusting anywhere from 25 to about 40 miles per hour. And we're still expected to see areas of the Alaska range, as well as parts of the Yukon-Koyukuk region, where we're still sitting up under that wind advisory, where winds could gust up to, if not more, than 50 miles miles per hour. Even here in South Central, we've been dealing with those ongoing breezy conditions that began to pick up yesterday late afternoon. There's some light snow, areas of wintry mix this morning. As that continues to build east along the slope, we're going to see that transition taking place. Of course, we'll see additional rounds of some accumulation through the overnight hours. Rain through the western parts of the interior, down through southwest Alaska. Even later today into the overnight hours, we'll see some rain showers spreading across South Central. And this will kickstart a wetter weather pattern for South Central, as we have certainly been on the drier side compared to the rest of the state. And we're going to be talking about some widespread heavy rain looking very possible by week's end as we continue to hold on to this wet weather pattern for a good portion of the state, which is going to be very beneficial to many areas that have been dealing with abnormally dry conditions. So that expected rainfall across the state, still seeing many areas where we could see 1 to 3+ inches. Those shades of oranges and darker reds that you're seeing popping up, that's where we have that potential to see 2 to 3+ inches of rainfall accumulation. Some good news, though. Notice out west along the coast where we've been seeing those back-to-back storms. A lot drier weather is to be expected for you here over the next couple of days. So you're going to kind of catch a break from all of this stormier weather. 64 degrees today in Anchorage. We'll start off with some sunshine and then those clouds thicken up. We'll still favor winds gusting up to about 35 miles per hour throughout the day. And then slightly cooler weather expected as that rain builds in for our Wednesday at 62 degrees. And then as we head through the rest of this week, we're likely going to see those temperatures staying in the 60s pretty much each and every day. That rain does look likely by Thursday. We actually may be cooler than 68 degrees. You can see those temperatures dropping into the lower 60s next week.
Prince William Sound is the location of one of the largest environmental cleanup projects in the United States. Justin Mattson visited Montague Island to learn about the Gulf of Alaska Keeper's work and how its crews are clearing miles of coastline each summer.
Montague Island looks like paradise until you arrive on the beach.
Hundreds and hundreds of tons of garbage piled up out there.
Walk along the coast and you'll find all types of marine debris from across the Pacific region. Like this pile of rope.
And there's a tremendous amount of nets and lines and buoys and floats and totes and everything else related to commercial fishing industry.
Along with fishing gear of all kinds, thousands of different types of plastic items litter this coast.
We expected maybe 400 tons on the whole island, and I expect it's probably closer to 1,000 tons.
We've found a lot of bike helmets with like spiky mohawks, fly swatters, some hummingbird feeder parts, golf ball, like little ping pong balls.
Some of the debris is still chemically hazardous, such as these logs covered in creosote.
There's hundreds of different chemicals in creosote, and it's a preservative to keep logs and lumber from rotting away.
We found ourselves on a part of the island that the team has yet to clean. Even just looking around, we found 2 of these, chemical containers.
We find a lot of these big drums, 50-gallon drums that if they haven't been broken open by the ocean or hitting logs or rocks, they often have chemicals in them. So we have gotten to a point where we're finding those, we spray paint them, we mark them with GPS. We're gonna come back, pick them up and get them out of here.
The Gulf of Alaska Keeper team collects everything it can and puts it into giant piles, which will then be flown onto a barge and taken away from Montague's fragile ecosystem. Go AK says this is not only to help the island, but to protect the rest of the state.
Because it is out here on the front lines of the islands in the bay, it collects a ton of trash. And so this is kind of the first line of where if we can keep trash off this beach, keep it from flowing in and flowing back out and start making its way deeper into the sound, you know, that's good for the people that recreate there. That's good for the fish, the wildlife, everything.
From Montague Island, Justin Mattson, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.